Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to work on a radial design. In the last class, we looked at different mandalas and we talked about the history and ideas behind the mandala. But for this project, for the art part, we're not going to think of it as a mandala so much as a radial design. So to get started, you're going to need a 9-inch by 9-inch piece of paper. If you're at home and you want to use something different, that's fine. Just be aware that that's the shape and size I'm using so that you can have the correct thing. First of all, make sure you write your name on the back. I'm going to start with Mr. Lundgren because that's my name. You write your name there and then put your number, day, section so that I know where your paper belongs when I'm grading it. All right. Then to get started, let's just cover some of the key concepts that we're going to be looking at while we do our radial design. So first of all, I've got a 9 by 9-inch piece of paper. The main idea of our symmetrical or radial design rather is symmetry. All right. Symmetry is going to be essential in our radial design because a radial design is made up of symmetrical reflections. All right, and as we move through our symmetrical reflections to make our radial design, you'll see that that is really the overarching concept that we're going to need to pay attention to in order to get it right. Now, what we're going to use to get that symmetry and symmetrical reflection done correctly are the following elements. We're going to be using line. We're going to be using shape. We're going to be using space. We're going to be using the concept of emphasis versus unity. And those are two of the principles of art. We're going to be, of course, using pattern. And overall, we're going to be talking about balance. Okay, so those are kind of the general guidelines we're going to be using. Now, as we start using line, are you going to be using straight lines, curvy lines, zigzag, and how are those different kinds of qualities of line going to influence the overall design? You can also think of thick versus thin lines, and how will those change the overall design. As far as shape, whatever kind of lines you're using, the shapes you're going to be creating are either going to be geometric or organic. I sometimes call it amorphous. Okay, and whatever kind of combination of shapes that you're making, if you want to stick with just one or you want to combine two, that's going to determine what your overall design will look like. As far as space, one thing that's going to be really important is the amount of stuff you have in a space, whether you've got very full space versus empty space. So whether you're filling up your space with lots of shapes or lines, or if you're leaving it empty so that the shape next to it that's full of stuff is going to look nice. If you think of a yin yang, right, and you have this part that's all colored in black, and you have that one little white dot left there, that empty space around the dark part of the yin yang gives it a certain amount of balance, whereas the little black dot inside of the white shape gives that a certain part of a balance. Whereas if you just had the circle and the swoop through it, it doesn't look half as interesting. All right, so the next part, after thinking about space is the emphasis versus unity. So in some parts, we're going to want to emphasize things, meaning we want to point things out. Maybe we'll do emphasis with our color. Maybe we'll do our emphasis with the line or the shape, or maybe even space. This dot is very emphasized because it's sitting there all alone. All right, versus unity, whether we keep a pattern and we like repeat that pattern over and over and create a unity or a feeling of everything working together. All right. We have to decide how we're going to balance those two out, because emphasis and unity often play off of each other. They're usually not all by themselves. Somehow they're usually used to work together. Okay, and pattern. Radial design has a lot of pattern because you're going to repeat things. So pattern is usually when you repeat things in an organized fashion. All right. Now you can use repetition. Okay, repetition where you're gonna like repeat something but maybe not make a pattern out of it. All right. Now balance is the last thing. Balance is gonna be it can be formal or informal. Which is the difference between symmetrical or not symmetrical, but our balance is all going to be going back to the idea of symmetry and creating that radial design. So balance is and symmetry are going to encompass all of these concepts, and you're going to have to put all those concepts together to create a really nice radial design. All right, so thanks for watching this. In the next video, we'll start our radial design on the other side of this page.